like to give everybody out there listening a very warm White Cat welcome, because you're tuned in to the White Cat Outdoors podcast. What's going on, everybody? It is episode 48 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast, and is this episode like the 5th episode of the Deer Camp series?
I was not keeping track of that.
Well, we got mine, Frank's, Blaine's, Rachel's,
Sam's.
So this is 6?
6
This
episodes.
would be 6
oh,
episodes.
Man. We're just
6
rolling.
weeks into Deer Camp series.
Yeah, so you guys know we got Nick and Tom here. You've already heard them talking.
How's it going, everybody?
Glad to be back in the studio.
And, as we said, Deer Camp series, we got another big buck killer on mic today. It is Nick and Tom's dad, Todd Soboleski.
Hi guys, welcome to be back. This is my second podcast with the Great White Cat crew, so glad to be back.
Did so good the first time, we figured we'd bring you on again.
Yeah.
He's even got the White Cat sweatshirt on.
He does.
I'm actually repping the old school, our first hats.
You are with the old patch.
Yeah, we didn't even sell these.
No.
Couldn't give them away.
Yeah, I was heading to the stand tonight, and
They're not all winners.
yeah, I think my mom and I were actually like ironing these ones on in the kitchen, with no like way to set it up right. So I think they're a little crooked, and it just, you know what? But I wore it tonight on stand. Didn't bring me any luck, but we were getting
that
outside
happens.
still. So
Yeah, that's all that matters.
but back to my dad here. He's the whole reason, the whole reason we could podcast this week, because that's the whole idea of the Deer Camp series is we keep killing deer, and I shouldn't say we because I'm not on the board yet, but
Yeah, you're the only one that's
the
not.
only one.
we got it's a trend, but but we'll get there. We still got a lot of time left.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we are gonna turn it over to my dad here, and he's gonna run us through the second high and tight buck we've got this year. So,
Yeah, those were actually killed the 2 days, or one was killed one day, and then yours was killed
Sunday,
first.
Monday.
Yeah, Sam was killed the next day.
No. Sam's was killed on election day.
Oh yeah, it was
so
Tuesday.
Sunday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Sunday, Tuesday.
Sunday, Tuesday. Close enough. Doesn't matter.
Oh, that's right. Dad did kill it Sunday morning, huh?
Yeah. New York, by the way.
Well, we were allowed to Sunday hunt PA this year a little
and
bit.
of course it rained on
Yeah.
the one Sunday.
It's like a tornado.
It was bad.
Me and my dad were still out there, though.
Yeah, I didn't go out. It was
Yeah.
blowing like 50. I was like, no thanks.
I sat on the ground.
It was a steady 20-mile-an-hour winds with an occasional 60-mile-an-hour gust. And
Yeah.
limbs were coming down, and I did see 3 doe ripping through about 40 mile an hour. That was about it.
At least the day was worthwhile then.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe a buck was chasing, but no such luck.
I mean, when
He
it's this
and it
time
was
of year,
solo.
you got to be out there.
Yep, that's a fact.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard from a wise man once that you can't kill them if you're not in the woods. So
Yeah, very
Good
rarely.
point. Time in the woods. What you need.
So let's jump into that November morning where you were in the woods.
Well, let's see. We'll start with preparing for the hunt, I suppose.
So yeah, he's
and-
gonna back it up here.
Yeah, kind of. Nick and I and Tom, we were all putting our gear together and getting ready for. Actually, I think it was a hunt before that. Actually,
Yeah, we were up at Clymer.
kinda
We were at the cabin.
getting ready to do a hunt at the cabin, and we were getting all our stuff put together and packing the truck up. And I happened to see Nick's quiver of arrows, and I noticed he had written the word Clyde on one of the fletchings in his quiver, and I thought that was a little odd, but I said, "Hey Nick, what's that all about?" And he proceeded to fill me in a little bit.
Yeah. So this is actually the second arrow we've had, or the second Clyde story. It's been brought up because when we had Rachel on, she actually killed her buck with a Clyde arrow. So just to clarify for everybody, if you listen to that episode, this will probably sound familiar. But Clyde was a young child, infant almost, that was on his parents were outfitters out in Wyoming, and a buddy of mine, Clint Casper, he's a very talented bow hunter. He hunts muleys and bears and elk and everything with his bow. He writes for Peterson's Bow Hunting. But he was in camp with Clyde, and on a bear hunt actually, and just said that Clyde was the absolute life of the party. Would sit right up on the table at camp, just brought a smile to everybody, and just really enjoyed having him in camp. And then a few months after Clint had left camp, Clyde tragically passed away, and it hit Clint pretty hard, which, it would hit anybody that was close to him. And in honor of Clyde's life, Clint asked, people that he knew to live like Clyde and, dedicate an arrow to Clyde for this hunting season. So I was inclined to do. I heard it on the Working Class Bowhunter podcast when Clint was on there. So I felt inclined to do it. And just from having Clyde on my arrow, I've had a couple people see it and ask, the story. So I shared the same story to them, and then every person I've told it felt inclined that they should have a Clyde arrow as well. So it's been pretty cool that it's inspired a lot of people. It's made all the way from Wyoming to eastern Pennsylvania in just one deer season. So I thought that was pretty cool. But like my dad said, he was inclined to dedicate an arrow to Clyde as well.
Yeah, once I heard that story, it was very touching. I have a hard time even getting through telling the story because it chokes me up thinking about it. I can't even imagine the pain that family and friends have gone through. And having 3 boys of my own, and I just, for whatever reason, I felt honored to let one fly for Clyde. So anyway, actually I think at that moment I found a Sharpie marker in the toolbox, and
before that hunt you were like, all right, I want to do this.
While we were packing up that for climber, and I put that on my arrow, and unfortunately that arrow got put back in my quiver after that hunt. But a couple weeks later we made it up to one of our favorite spots in western New York, and I think it was just a short weekend for me.
For you, you were up there for the weekend.
Nick and Tom took a whole week of work off and hunted that first week of November.
Yep, first week of from Halloween till the 8th.
Yeah, so some of us have to work, so I
Some of us, not everybody.
Snuck out as early as I could Friday and got up there for the Saturday and Sunday hunt. And Saturday, I don't really remember. I think I had seen a couple small bucks, just a spike and a 4-point. I did see one decent buck chasing way out of range, but enough to get you pretty excited for the next day. And we got back to camp and had dinner and kind of told the story of what we saw and where we seen them and where they were headed and what we thought they were doing, what our odds for tomorrow were. And Nick had hunted a spot where he went down one of the old main trails through the bottom of the field and into the woods, and he noticed a bunch of hot scrapes along the way as he was heading to his spot Saturday night. So when we got back, he kind of looked over and said, if we'll back up even more, I've had just a slight dry spell in shooting big bucks.
It has been
a few years.
9 was the last one.
Yeah, Nick was
his big 9
playing.
I was back playing
middle school football. Yeah,
I think that was back when we played for the Jets.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's been quite a long time.
So it's been a while. I've had a monkey on my back for a few years. The boys were wondering if I even knew what I was still doing out there, but
forgot how to do it.
I've been hunting booners, and they're hard to come by. So I pass a lot of good bucks up, but just not bringing one home brings a lot of questions. So anyway, like I said, Nick had mentioned there was some pretty hot scrapes, and he's given me a suggestion. He wanted to see me get a buck, probably
more than I even cared to kill a buck.
Yeah. So he said, Dad, if I were you, I would go down on what we call Don's stand in one of my favorite oaks, just below the corn stand, and it's probably, I don't even know, maybe only 60, 70 yards in the hardwoods off the corner of a
but you can almost shoot where I was seeing the scrapes from the stand.
Yeah, there is a main. We used to brush hog a path that we'd go down through, but it was more down through the middle of the farm, And after some quality deer management advice, and they kind of had instructed us to maybe put trails on the outside of the property and work our way in, so we weren't pushing deer out from the middle, So, but the trail's kind of overgrown, but still there, and obviously the deer are using it pretty hard. So, but and actually the wind was ideal for us.
Yeah,
that
it was
morning,
just kind of a perfect storm.
So I took Nick's advice and went down and got in my tree, and we were in there plenty early. I think we had just changed the clocks back, so we got up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, we got an extra hour of sleep, kind of, and
had
just
some coffee.
Other way around. You lose an
we
hour
were
of sleep.
shorter an hour.
We went back. So if it's 2 o'clock and it jumps back to 1, you gain an hour in the fall.
Yeah, regardless.
Yeah, but you have to get up an hour earlier.
So it doesn't change.
It doesn't change again.
It was still early.
Careful, you're doing math again.
Yeah.
When you're up past 1 o'clock, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
4
a good
o'clock
point.
rolls around pretty early. So we had a little coffee, and us hit the stand pretty early. I think I was hunkered in and situated by 5:30. I mean, it was still pitch black, and I was just kind of sitting there thinking, and Clyde crossed my mind, and I just kind of had a little talk with him, and just kind of introduced myself and told him how I heard the story and felt honored to let one fly for him. And as it lightened up, you start to hear the birds, so there wasn't a whole lot going on because this big buck came through at 7:30 in the morning.
So yeah, it was pretty early.
Yeah,
It only gets light at 6:55, 7:15, somewhere in there.
Yeah, so I think I had seen one doe come through, and then and that was like right at light, and I just was hanging in my stand, and I just happened to kind of peek over my left shoulder and caught a glimpse of him, and I could see a pretty good heavy main beam and some really nice tall tines that kind of went up and hooked in. They were probably in that 10, 11 inch range. Nice, but I said, "Oh boy!"
One you didn't have to think about much.
No. So I unfortunately I had my bow hanging on the other side of the tree, but it was really thick back there, and the oak tree that I was had a ladder stand up against was
Take
gotta
almost
be
3
a
guys to
20,
get around.
24 inch diameter tree. I mean, it's big.
You can hide behind
almost
it
as
pretty
wide as
well.
my shoulders. Yeah, so I was able, and where he was at was like right behind that, so I was able to kind of turn around, grab my bow, and he was literally only 25 yards behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so then I tried to get back on that side of the tree, but there was just way too thick, and there was no way. So I figured, well, my best bet, the way he was heading, was going to come around the other side. So I swung around the back side of the tree, and I kind of glanced over where I could get a shot, and there really was only one little opening. And,
Yeah, it was pretty small little opening. 'Cause I remember we were standing at the shot, and it's thick.
I just kind of waited, and nothing, didn't hear anything and didn't see anything, and I'm like,
So you kind of lost sight of him in all
oh,
the thick stuff.
absolutely, yeah, because he was just kind of standing. He really wasn't walking at that point. And I'm like, well, I don't know if he heard something or, if he would have just turned, and because a lot of times they just turn and walk away, and
Yeah.
you never see him again. And so I'm waiting. I'm like, seemed like a long time. This is about 2 minutes in.
Yeah, if you killed him by 7:30, couldn't have
Sit
been
there
too
for
long.
hours.
Yeah. So I did have to peek around the other side of the tree, and all I could see was like his belly and legs. So I knew he was still there. So I just went back to the other side of the opening that I had, hoping he was going to come down through there. And sure enough, it was only a couple minutes later, I seen him coming through. But once he decided where he was going, he just kind of had a steady pace going, and I just gave him a little mat when he hit that opening, and he was just ever so slightly quartering away. And when I stopped him, his left front leg had just stepped forward, which just opened up that whole rib cage, and
just begging for
right,
an arrow.
Right where he stopped was, couldn't have been any better. It was his head and neck was behind another big tree, and it was just that vital area was right in that open, perfect, and
it's like shooting a target.
Yeah, it was top pin action, which you guys like to talk about.
Yeah,
I just put it behind that front shoulder, and I actually let it fly. And I was hunting with Tom. Bought me some Illuminox for Christmas a year or two ago, and I was really excited to watch them light up and fly. And something happened where it didn't quite light up like I had expected it.
Odd, because all your
my practice ones all do, yeah, but I don't know.
Just the hunting arrow doesn't work.
Yeah, I never tested the knock on that one, to be honest, but we'll have to look into that. But so I let one fly, and I could kind of see it. I knew I hit him really well.
You got that sound.
Yeah, just a good whack sound, and he took off like a rocket, like they always do for me. I know some guys say, he kind of didn't even know what hit him, and then stumbled about 10 feet and got all woozy and fell over, but that's not how it ever works for me. They always just take off like a racehorse out of the gate.
Yeah.
But I heard them bouncing off of trees and just making a awful crash and ruckus, and felt pretty confident, but I figured if he's down there dead now, he'll be dead in an hour. So I gathered my thoughts for a second or two, and I texted my sons Nick and Tom and said I let one fly for Clyde, and Nick texts right back, buck or doe, and Tom texts back, did you hit him? Or I don't know where the confidence came from, but
I didn't even wait for a response. As soon as I sent the text, I'm like, I got time for that. I called him while I was on stage.
I did the same exact thing.
Yeah, so I did climb down to where I shot to see if I could find my arrow, and I found my arrow, and unfortunately it had busted off, and it wasn't a clean pass through, but there was about probably only maybe 6 inches of the tip broke off, so the broadhead and a couple inches of the arrow, 3-4 inches of the arrow broke off, and there was blood about, I don't know, maybe a good 12 inches up the shaft of the arrow, but it stopped, before the fletching, so it kind of made me wonder what really happened there.
Yeah.
But so we gave it an hour. I just
So
told
you
them
met us
we're
back
gonna
at camp.
Yeah, we'll meet it back at camp and grab some breakfast, and then we'll put a trailing party together. And
Yeah, and we even sized up one of your other arrows and tried to figure out, okay,
How
this is
much
this is where the blood stops on this arrow. Here's a full length, and we had decided that there was no way that he didn't get at least to the other side of the deer. There was
definitely got both lungs.
Yeah, there was no question about that. Based on where the blood stopped, it was pretty obvious that he had gotten plenty of penetration for.
Yeah.
And it was exactly what you want to see, bright pink, bubbly blood on the arrow. So.
Yeah, and there was some little bit of brown hair and a lot of blood right where I shot. And so I just remembered that area, I marked it, and got out of there.
Yeah, you put a little Tinks 69 bottle or one of them little canisters
little
in
wick
a tree.
that you hang, and just hung that in the tree. I think, by the way, it might still be there. But so we went back to camp and had something to eat, and then got everybody together and went back down, and I showed the boys where I had shot and what I had found, and I had left my arrow right there and kind of didn't even disturb it at all. And only 2-3 yards down the direction I said he went, you could see about 2-3 feet up on a tree. It was a big patch of blood and hair on
down
this tree, and then bounced off of that tree.
Well, he was basically, the way the stand step is where that trail's at. Where he took off was head straight for the gully, which is a pretty steep gully we've got there, and it seems like every deer decides it wants to die there.
Yeah, they always end up
So
there.
we were looking pretty much straight parallel with the gully, like it's running or perpendicular. I mean,
Yeah.
he's running straight at it, and like
Yeah.
my dad said, you could look down and it was like a pinball going down. So my dad took the lead.
We went down, and I mean, it was really good blood right at where I shot, and we followed it for, I don't know, less than 20 yards,
So he was pretty-
15, 20 yards, and all of a sudden it was like,
None.
I lost blood. Yeah, we started
Really?
circling around, and it was
Usually
little
it's the
unusual.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like blood from impact, 20 yards out, and then dry.
Yeah, that's weird.
And so I had truly felt pretty confident with all the crashing that I heard. So I just kind of figured, they typically going to go in that 70 to 100 yards at max, area.
Yeah.
So I just kind of got up ahead and mainly was still looking on the ground. I was trying to, see if I couldn't find some blood or even on the tree, something where give me the indication that I'm on the right path. And then the kind of woods kind of opened up a little bit. I'm thinking he's not going to go down through this open part. So I kind of circled back around to where there was some more goldenrod and a little thicker briars. And I made one little loop and seen him laying all balled up. So
Nice.
Yeah. And we determined that after the fact that the way he was quartering that arrow went, just behind the front shoulder, and it did get lodged in that front shoulder on the other side.
Yeah,
And
the lack of blood was because it didn't pass through on the bottom side. And it
Yeah.
was so close when he shot. He hit high, which is what you want to do.
Yeah.
When you're that close, you want to shoot a little bit higher. But because there wasn't the full pass through, it just didn't bleed hardly at all. Even where once we could see where it was dead, even like backtracking, there really wasn't a whole lot of blood until once you cut him open to gut him, it was like
Then he's full inside.
yeah. But you double lung, Dan took the top of the heart clean off.
yeah, it was.
He made a death run and he was dead as soon as you hit him, I think. And it was basically how far can I go on my last breath. It's about all he did.
Yeah. But after that, we pretty much just got him field dressed, and Nick and I drug him for.
We did have a celebratory beer down there, though.
Well, I think we did.
Yeah, you have
Absolutely
to.
did.
Sprinkled tobacco down, and then me and my dad grabbed a hold of him. Nice and heavy, easy to grab a hold of, get him up.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a heavy buck. I was telling you when Tom sent the first picture of it, it's narrow, but it's wicked tall. And he sent a picture, and you couldn't really see how tall it was the way he took the picture. It just looked narrow. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a nice
Shot a
buck.
nice, cute little buck, didn't he?
And then I saw, Nick took some, actual pictures of it from the front. I was like, oh, man, that's, it's massive. It's got real nice long tines. I was like, it's got everything but width. But, it's a
brow
super,
tine?
it's a super cool-looking buck. And it's not symmetrical, which that's how you like them.
Yeah, I've never killed well, I did kill one 8-point, but it had 5 on one side, 3 on the other. I've never killed a symmetrical buck.
Yeah, well, he actually had a busted G3 on the right side, right?
Yeah.
And then a split brow on the left. So, it was even if
No,
he...
the split brow was
Oh,
on
was
the
it?
broken side.
Okay, so
Yeah.
even if he wouldn't have broken that tine off, because that tine had broken off within, I bet you, a week, easy. It was pretty fresh.
Pretty clean.
But even with that being clean, it still would have had
the
that
split
split brow,
brow.
which would have thrown off. So, it was in perfect fashion for my dad to
Yeah, that's a
get
tough
down.
one to pass up.
Yeah. No, and I was very, very pleased with it. It was
Heck yeah.
It was an old deer, too. It was gray in the face. It was, I would say 3.5, which is what we're looking for at that piece. And it was a great buck. I would have shot it all day.
Yeah.
We did weigh it after we field dressed it, and it did weighed out at 165,
That's
which
with-
I was hoping it was a little bigger than that, but it lacked the length. Them
Yeah,
big
the
older bucks just seem to get when you try to put them in the bed of the truck and you gotta
Yeah.
fold them to get them in there. He
Yeah.
was just a little bit shorter, stockier, but he was thick,
boy.
real heavy
Yeah.
neck, and
Oh, yeah, his neck was all scarred up. That was pretty cool.
And he didn't
Yeah.
have hardly any fat on him.
So he was rutting pretty good?
Oh, yeah.
He didn't
his-
have that rut smell, though, which
Not
was...
too bad.
But,
His glands
tarsals were
pretty
black.
Yeah.
You didn't have fat. You could tell he'd been running.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we would have got
That's
him
a cool tip. We should probably highlight for
2-3
a
weeks
second.
earlier, he probably would have had an extra 20 pounds on them. But
Yeah.
he burn it all off in the last couple
Wrong
weeks
timing.
of chasing.
Just that the tarsal glands, the color of them changing. I just wanted to throw it out there. You brushed over it, but just in case for people listening that don't know that, it's kind of a neat little thing to look for when you're in the woods. And there's always that one guy, like opening weekend, saying that the rut's
Rutting
early this
hard.
year.
I'll tell you though, I had a hunt early October, and it was like October 7th, where if I didn't know the date and someone just placed me in the woods, I would swear they placed me in
Peak rut.
Illinois peak rut with
Yeah, I mean,
bucks
that does-
fighting, chasing, snort wheezing.
But how old were the deer? The bucks fighting.
2.5, 3.5.
You had 3.5s fighting?
Yeah.
Really? But either way, I mean, I don't think the rut ever happens October 1st.
No,
No. But
But like what I'm getting at with the tarsal glands is,
just another indicator to look.
yeah, the tarsal glands will be like a real dark brown, almost black when the bucks are rutting, and when they're not, they're going to be more of that white hair that they typically are. But that's another thing. Keep those. If you shoot a buck, keep them. Use them as cover scent. So,
I don't know if I buy into that whole cover scent.
I mean, I don't use any cover scent, but I know my grandpa used to tell us to keep the tarsal glands for that.
I could see putting it in a scrape, but
Yeah.
I think you could cover yourself in as much doe pee as you want.
Yeah,
They're
they're
still
gonna
going to smell you.
Oh yeah,
They just smell you and dopey now.
yeah. You just carry that foot around with you for a while and be good. But that's it.
I'd make a scrape with it. I've seen people doing that.
Yeah, paw it up.
Yeah, I think that
Paw
would be
hoof
like
it
the
out.
most effective way to use the tarsal glands is use it in like a scrape situation
think
rather than as a cover
It
scent.
would be even better to take it to another property, because then that's the smell of a new
different-
buck
Yeah.
in the area. Mm-hmm. If you put it in a scrape, 100 yards from where you shot them,
They're used to that.
yeah, they know
buck
that
being
buck.
around.
But
Take it over to the next farm 20 miles and whole
Yeah.
new game changer
there's
there.
this new guy coming in here.
It's not a bad plan.
Might try it. It's getting late now, though.
Yeah, we got one more day.
One more day. Tomorrow's the close of
By the time
Pennsylvania
people
archery.
by the time people listen to this, it'll
Yeah,
be
archery
over.
will be over. But rifles firing up on Saturday
For us in New
here
York.
in New York.
Yeah,
So-
Well, we're not in New York, but
yeah,
we hunt
we'll
in
be
New York.
hunting up there.
So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about with your buck or moving forward with it?
No, other than maybe the getting it into the barn and field dressing it and quartering it up and cooking some sausage that night on the grill
That is tough to beat.
while
It
we're
is.
cleaning things up.
Yeah, that's
Just-
always good.
Yeah, I don't know very many people that don't like when people that do process their own deer. They pretty much everyone either cooks up the heart or the tenderloins, or they're always cooking something off of the deer that just died that night.
Yeah, we typical tradition was to pull the tenderloins out and fire them up on the grill, but unfortunately I had to get back to work, so
Took those with you?
I had to bring the buck and the
Yeah, we didn't get
tenderloins
to taste
home.
those.
Yeah, I came over to the house tonight. You guys were cutting it up. I just wanted to take a look at it. I saw the pictures and stuff, and then Dad shot a doe that night that you came home, and just got the hide off of it, and we were up at Uncle Mark's house, and Ty was like, "Yeah, my dad's down helping Uncle Todd with his deer." I was like, "Oh, well, I guess that's where I'm going then, because I want to see this thing."
Yeah, and then you did a pretty neat version of a Euro mount with it that I thought was pretty neat. We haven't done that since my first buck. If you want to talk about the way you're gonna showcase this buck,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, it is.
It's
very
basically
different.
that you prep it like a Euro mount. You get the hide off, and we boil it, and we use a new little trick of pressure washing.
Yeah, that's
And
slick.
Yeah,
And,
it's a good trick.
Paint it with a little
Salon grade hair bleach.
what's it called? Just peroxide, I think.
Yeah, it's like
the
40
salon
volume.
grade. Yeah, peroxide, and it kind of helps whiten it up. And then I just kind of drew an imaginary line right down the center, from the back of the skull to the nose, and basically just cut it clean in half. And then you take the two pieces and lay them flat to where it's almost like two bucks facing each other. And I was going to try to create some type of little white cat outdoor plaque with the buck on it and
That'll be sweet.
with the shaft of the arrow underneath, and yeah, it'll be nice
Yeah,
when we're
that
done.
was the only thing that was unfortunate is your Clyde arrow broke. But I did notice you got a fresh Clyde arrow ready for. I guess
I did.
you got it for your next kill. You'll have another Clyde arrow ready. So,
Yeah.
but it's cool that you'll be able to dedicate that arrow and put it up on the plaque with it, and
Absolutely.
we'll get the picture printed out.
Yeah, I actually did get all the pieces of the arrow out when we did field dress it. I found the 2 broken pieces of the shaft and the broadhead. They were kind of in the opposite elbow of the front deer or front leg of the deer. And we were able to.
That had to just wreak havoc on that front shoulder. Just every step he took would just
Grinding
slice him.
it, yeah.
Well, we knew they were in there, so when you're trying to get that hide off and starting to
Get
field
close.
dress, there's a broadhead in there. You kind of take some caution.
Yeah, don't
To-
just go
to-
ripping
So we
like
knew it was
crazy.
in there somewhere. 'Cause I
Yeah.
remember when you gut it, you could feel the hole where it left. It was actually
Right.
we could tell it was out of the rib cage, but it definitely hadn't left the deer. So we knew it
Yeah,
was.
it was
in there
lodged in
somewhere.
that front shoulder on that opposite side, but I was able to get it out. So I do have all the pieces. We could.
Nice.
That'll be really
we'll
neat.
put it together somehow on that plaque, and maybe we can post a picture someday down the road.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll do a finished product on that for sure.
for sure.
But well, the pressure's on now because
It's all on you.
yep, heavily on me. Archery season's officially over for us by the time you listen to this. First archery season, anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting into gun season. And then I guess we'll have a Thanksgiving special next week, I guess.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is coming right up.
So,
We'll have to talk about the New York gun opener.
yeah.
Because
And-
I have a real good feeling there's going to be some bucks falling up.
Maybe Nick will get his first one up at the cabin.
It's not likely,
it's
but you never know.
just my
The new property. It's time to break it in, Nick.
Yeah.
I know. I've been holding on to being the only guy with a gobbler on the property. And once I get a buck, I've got the trifecta up there, and I'll be top dog. So,
We'll see.
all right. Well, that's pretty much it. We got to sight in some guns here pretty quick because we're heading up to camp.
Tomorrow at lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
No sense in waiting, huh?
yeah. Good luck to everybody that didn't buy their ammo early.
Yeah.
I know Frank ran into a problem finding ammo right now.
Yeah, I went to sight in my rifles today, and I was like, oh, I need to go get some ammo. And I went like 6 places. I was like, I guess I'm not getting ammo today. So,
So,
yeah.
but
Pick a new rifle, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's exactly what he had to do. But as always, thanks guys for staying tuned on our podcast. Make sure you're telling your friends and let them enjoy it as well. But as always, join us in getting outside.